4. And you want to talk about ring generalship and just technically, Garcia was on it with his jab.
Yep, you know what time it is, man. This is, of course, your favorite channel, man, CTB. This is Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy, Jay Slay. So what up to him, man?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in tonight.
All right, man, we just had a great night of fights, man. So, of course, we got to give you our CTB Raw review. Man, it was a great card, man. I'm not going to lie. All right, man, let's go on to the main event, man. Let's go and get in the Raw review in the main event. Like I said, it was a great fight, man. I'm not going to lie, especially early, like the first 5 rounds. Man, it was a great back and forth action, man. I don't agree with Showtime only giving him 1 round. I'm gonna let you talk about it. What you think about the fight and what you think about Showtime's scorecard and what you think about that lone judge scorecard who had the draw?
I think I had him winning 2 rounds, but I could see if somebody had him winning 4 rounds because I thought it was like 2 or 3 swing rounds in the fight. But I just thought that to me, Danny Garcia did good with his body work, and I just thought that what's called just too stationary. He did too much. Instead of reacting with counter punches, he did too much with pinning his hands in the air, let people know he won't hurt. And to me, when you do that, you actually make yourself lose rounds easier by doing that. But I don't like when fighters respond like that, like shaking stuff off. Let Adrian Broner thing. You get hit, you can't hurt me. But if you just letting the guy just tee off on you and throw, even if they're not getting clean punches, it don't look good to the judges to see a guy throw 6 or 7 punches, and then when they finish their combination, all you do is shake it off. So to me, he did too much of that, and he was giving away rounds. So I understood if somebody had it 116 to 112, I had it 118 to 110. To me, the scorecard where it was a draw, I thought that was ridiculous. I don't know how in the world you gave Benavides 6 rounds. But, I mean, I'm not too upset about it because the winner, the person that should have won the fight. So, long as he won the fight, I can live with that. But I don't know what that judge saw for a draw.
Yeah, I don't know how you made the draw either. I was when they said it was a split decision, I knew that nobody could have him up. So I was trying to see. I know damn well nobody have Benavides up in the fight. So I kind of knew it was gonna be a draw on somebody's card. But yeah, I agree with the 116, 112 scorecard. That was the same scorecard I had. I think in the middle rounds, then he slowed down. I don't know if he was gassing or what, but he slowed down a lot. I think he was trying to just leave a little bit of gas in the tank for the later rounds. I don't know, man. I ain't gonna say he wasn't trying for the stoppage. I think he was early in the fight, but when he realized that Benavides was taking his shots pretty well, he kind of gave up on the knockout and started, you know what I'm saying, shoe shining, and he started, you know, he started to make the more visible punches in the late rounds. But I think in the middle rounds, like you said, he was more so going for the body shots, and there was a lot of swing rounds because during that time he was getting caught with a lot of counters, man. He was getting jab. In my opinion, the jab of Benavides was in his face a lot. So it all, like I said, it all depends on what judges look for. It all depends on did they look for the body shots or did they look for the person who actually landed the head shots. And I called it in the review, man. I think, like I said earlier, Benavides' defense was great in like the first 5 rounds. Both of them was hard to hit each other. It was a lot of back and forth, but they was, how can I say, they was both defensively responsible. They wouldn't get caught with more than 1 punch at a time. Like Garcia would throw for 4 punches and land 1, and then David Benavides would throw 4 punches and land 1. That was like a lot of that.
I did like the work rate for the fight because we talked about it in our prediction video that we thought that maybe this fight would be more of a counter punch chest match, and for somebody that want a rock'em sock'em type of fight, it might bore them, even though it wouldn't bore us. I thought it would be that type of fight where they both would be kind of waiting on each other to try to get somebody to engage to try to land those big counter shots, but they both had pretty high work rate, so it was an entertaining fight.
Yeah, I kind of called that too. I kind of say it's gonna be one of 2 ways. It's either gonna be a counterpunch board match, quote unquote board match, or it's gonna be, you know, because David Benavides was so stationary and Danny Garcia is a stationary puncher also, that they could wind up being in the pocket and actually trying to find each other. It was a mixture of both. I will say this about Danny though. Danny had some footwork in this fight. Danny showed that he had some rhythm. He had some float with him. I think he needed to show that because he is a smaller man at 154. So you're going to have some feet with him at that weight class. So I think he was working on that. I think he was working on having feet. But like I said earlier too, I think the extra muscle, it kind of had him a little tired in the middle of the fight. But I think once he got his second win going, he started picking up where he left off in like around 10. And it just pretty much took 10 and 11 and 12 by pretty much shoe shining and, still in the rounds. As far as Benavides go, he always raised his hand when he get hit, or when he blocked a hit. He did the same thing with Terrence Crawford. He actually did that before he got knocked out by Crawford. He actually got hit to the body and then raised his hand like, oh, you didn't hurt me, and then came back in and got caught with an uppercut, and that's how Crawford stopped him. Speaking of Crawford, man, let's talk about you asked me the last video about the comparisons that people was gonna have with the fight, because there are two common opponents of the fight that we want to see in Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. So far on social media, what I'm seeing is from the pro Crawford fans, they are saying that Danny is washed pretty much. Danny couldn't stop Benavides and Crawford, the smaller man, and Crawford stopped him. And then from the pro Spence fans, they're saying that Danny pretty much was a landslide. He only lost one round, and he made Benavides look a lot easier than Crawford did. What do you say to those fans who's kind of got the goggles on and kind of just not taking the fight for what it was?
What I would say, just don't get caught up in the triangle theory, man. The triangle theory does not work good in boxing. Where people try to say, Danny Garcia beat David Benavides, and that was one of Crawford's top opponents, and now Danny Garcia got washed by Spence, who just came off a car accident. And I understand people gonna try to go with a theory like that, or like the ones you just mentioned. Either or, Crawford fans saying, oh, he stopped him and Danny Garcia couldn't, whatever. But I think I wouldn't pick too much either or. I think, like I said, I always told you that Spence and Crawford fight is a 50-50 fight. I mean, depending on what style you like is who you probably gonna favor. But I don't think you can take the Porter fight, the Danny Garcia, the David Benavides, or any other common opponent they might have had to sway you either way if you already feel a certain way about a fighter. If you leaning towards Spence, I don't think this fight gonna change nothing. If you leaning towards Terrence Crawford, I don't think it's gonna change nothing. Like I said, why I says at this point, like we always say, it's time for them two to get in the ring and settle it, because I think at this stage, that's the only way we're gonna find out for sure who will win that fight.
I agree with you, man. Especially it's the timing of it. When this fight was at a 154 weight, and this is coming off of Benavides he's coming down in weight while Garcia was going up in weight. So it's coming off of that also. Plus, like I said, Benavides hasn't won. I think they said it during the telecast. He hasn't won a fight in 4 years. So pretty much he's been on a losing streak except for the draw. He had a draw before this fight, and he didn't look great in the fight before this fight. So I think Benavides he called for the rematch. I'm pretty sure Danny Garcia ain't gonna give him the rematch. I'm pretty sure he on the bigger and better things. But I'm gonna be honest, man. I think he should hang it up, because I don't see him going to 154 and actually beating any of the contenders. I don't see him going to 147 and actually beating the contenders. And he's too small for 160. So I think Benavides, man, I think he just need to hang it up before he lose badly to somebody. Because I think at some point he's gonna become a gatekeeper, and then he's gonna have to fight the Fendoras and the boots move up. You're gonna have to fight those guys to get any paydays. And I don't think he want to stick around for that, in my opinion. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think the triangle theory don't work here. Like I said, the scorecard was kind of similar when it comes to how the judges had it. I think the only scorecard that was actually different was the draw that Danny got. But as far as margins go, Crawford and Benavides' margins was similar to what Danny Garcia and his margin was from the real actual judges. So if anything, that proves that David Benavides is game. He's a game opponent, which we all knew that. We all knew he was a game opponent. And if anything, that proves that Danny Garcia is actually a better boxer than we gave him credit for. Because I think, I knew I only gave him credit to knocking him out. I didn't think he can outpoint Benavides, but he actually outpointed him. Was you surprised about how he pretty much stuck and moved in this game with his game plan and actually was the superior boxer in this fight? And even though he didn't get the hurt, even though he didn't rock him like we thought he was going to rock him, and change the fight.
Yeah, I'm somewhat surprised, but then I thought about it after the fight, and I said, maybe Danny Garcia is a little bit stronger at 154, but not strong in the way that people think. I don't think he's going to be stronger as far as power. I think he's going to be stronger as far as how he feels and his stamina. I think making 154 is probably a lot easier for him, so he got a little bit more energy. So I think that at 154, you're going to see a different type of fighter somewhat. I think he's going to be a lot. I think the higher work rate and a little bit more being more mobile, I think you're going to see more of that at 154 from Danny Garcia. More the those looping punches that he catch people with. I think he's still gonna catch people with them, but it's not gonna have the same effect that it had at 140 or especially 140. But at 147 too. Also, I don't think he's gonna, he would catch people with them looping shots. He would almost, either knock you down or either have you badly hurt. I don't think he's gonna do that at 154. He may get good shots in, but I don't think he has the power to really clip somebody with one shot at 154. But I think because his energy level going to be higher, he'll be able to bounce more, be able to throw more combinations. So we'll see a different type of fighter than we've seen at 147, I believe.
Yeah, he's going to have to be, man. I will say this, though. They did, Showtime did interview Harrison, and they asked Harrison about the fight. Harrison kind of caught it on the head, if you ask me. He kind of said that, Garcia going to need an opponent at 154. He's not ready for Charlo, so he was like, I'm ready for that fight. And both of us, you texted me the same time I was thinking about the same thing. You said he's not going to Harrison to beat both of these guys, which is true, man. I don't think this especially this boxing style of Danny, this boxing style of Danny, it won't work well with Harrison, in my opinion. You're not going to be a shoe shine Harrison. You're not going to be able to steal rounds from Harrison because he's going to embarrass you. He's not going to be a stationary target the way Benavides is. But at the end of the fight, in the interview at the end of the fight, Danny was asked who he wanted to fight next, and he didn't mention Harrison's name at all. He pretty much said he wanted to fight a rematch with Keith Thurman. He said Keith Thurman took his oath, so he wanted to get some revenge against Keith Thurman, or he wanted to fight Laura at 155 at a 155 catch weight for the middleweight title. What do you think about those? What do you think about those two picks of opponents that Danny Garcia named?
I think he going. Like I said, he had a stage in his career where he's gonna be choosing about who he picked. So he wants somebody with a name and with somebody he can get some accolades on. And like you said, Harrison would be the most logical, sense as far as the fight he should fight, because I think PBC want him to fight that fight. That's why I think they gave him the interview. But I think PBC is probably pushing that fight because it makes the most sense for him at 154 to take that next step to fight that guy to see if he's ready for the Charlo. But the fight Keith Thurman would almost be fighting a welterweight at 154, so that wouldn't be a big adjustment to him. And then Lara, I think after me and you both saw his last fight, he's looking more like food, and I think people thinking that can be an easy title. So, to get a catch weight at 155, and Lara, I think at this stage, he's trying to get a good payday, so he would be probably interested in fighting a Keith Thurman or Danny Garcia because they do have a name. They both with PBC, and you can catch them at a catch weight and you can win that one fight, and all of a sudden you pull a Canelo in there, you 160-pound champion and never really fought at the weight limit, and then you go back to 154 and then you can say Danny Garcia can say I'm a 3-division champion at 140, 147, and I've been a champion at 160. So I see the tactics and what he's doing. I think that's most likely what he's gonna go for. I think PBC, like I said, would rather him fight a Tony Harrison, but I understand why he don't want Tony Harrison. Because Tony, like you said, Tony Harrison is a nightmare matchup because Tony Harrison, his only weakness is his chin, and Danny Garcia, I don't think can hurt him with one shot. And Danny Garcia damn sure can't outbox Tony Harrison. So the only way he can't beat. I don't see how he can beat Tony Harrison because they just don't. It's not a good stylistic matchup for him. So I understand why he would want Keith Thurman or Lara because it gives him the money and also offers the accolades that he wants in a bigger weight division.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Your last point was exactly where I was going with it. He only called out Keith Thurman because that's going to be the winnable payday. Key word on winnable, because all the other paydays, the Crawfords and Spencer, they are both tied up trying to fight each other. And let's be honest, the reason why he moved up was because I don't think he think he can beat either one of those. Even though he said he wanted to fight Spence again. He said he wanted to fight Spence at 154. And I'm gonna be honest, watching him tonight, I would much rather watch that fight at 154. But I think it'll have the same outcome. I don't think the way he gassed in the middle rounds, Spence don't gas. So you can't be gassing like that in the middle rounds and expect a different outcome. Because I think Spence gonna keep coming at you, and those swing rounds that we saw that he had with Benavides, it won't be swing rounds. It's gonna be Earl rounds. So he did what I thought he's supposed to do. He called out the money man that's winnable, which is Keith Thurman, and then he called out the accolades man, which was Laura at middleweight. Because like you said, that gave him a third weight class. Said I got because he wanted to be a 3 weight class champion. That way he can say, yeah, I won that. But I'm gonna be honest, man. Even though Laura looks slow and old in his last fight, he did knock out the guy with the mustache. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Sullivan.
Sullivan, yeah. He did knock out Sullivan with a crazy ass left hand. He pretty much beat the shit out of Sullivan in that fight. Mm-hmm. So even though Garcia have newfound feet work, Laura's still a dangerous southpaw who's fighting bigger man who possibly can hurt Danny, man. I'm being honest. So that could be a risky fight in itself. But I see why he called out those guys. I will say this in closing. And I'm gonna ask you one more question. If Danny Garcia is serious about fighting Laura, but PBC pushes him to fight, somebody like a Fundora or even a Harrison. If you Danny Garcia's team, and they pretty much saying you have to fight one of those guys to compete at 154, which are you convincing Danny to take? Are you convincing him to take the more unknown fight in Fundora? Or are you asking him to take the more risky fight in Harrison?
Is Laura in that too, or you just those two?
Because Laura's not with PBC, is he? So I don't want to include him because I think Laura's on the zone. I think no, Laura is with PBC.
He with PBC.
Yeah, I guess you can include Laura too. But I don't see Laura taking that fight though. To be honest, I think Laura on the bigger paydays with Charlo.
Yeah, I don't see him taking that fight. But if I'm Danny Garcia, that's the fight I would go for. Is Laura. Like I said, even though I think it is a dangerous fight, I just think that stylistically, Fundora and Harrison is a horrible matchup for him. I think Fundora, like I said, with Fundora work rate and the way he gonna be on Danny and the way he gonna make Danny. But all that I will say is Danny is a very, very good counterpuncher. He is elite timing. But the problem is I don't know if he can hurt Fundora. So yeah, I think he'll catch him, and you get a lot of ooh and ahs from the crowd. But I think Fundora just walk right through that shit and just keep coming. So it'll look good the first 3 or 4 rounds when he catching them clean and with them looping shots. Cause Fundora gonna run into shit, but he gonna walk right through it. And I think he'll just break Danny Garcia down, and then the same, and that could be a bad loss. Cause he could really beat Danny Garcia the second half of the fight. And then with Tony Harrison, I just think it's a bad matchup because he can't hurt Tony Harrison. Like I said, Tony Harrison is actually a very, very great fighter. He just has a suspect chin and stamina. And if you can't take advantage of either one of those, you can't beat Tony Harrison. Nobody has never outboxed Tony Harrison. I've never seen Tony Harrison outboxed in a fight.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause you real quick. Would you call his chin suspect? Because the only person that stopped him was Charlo, and Charlo is
no, it ain't.
Charlo. Who was stopping him? Heard stopped him.
And he got stopped by 3 people. He got stopped by somebody else too. I can't recall it. I guess we'll pop it at the screen if it's somebody. He got 3 stoppages.
I'll look him up. I know 2 of those. I mean, the first fight with Charlo, he got rocked in that fight, but he won. Of course, he won a controversial win against that fight. Heard just beat him up. Heard just pretty much walked him down and beat him up. I won't really say his chin was suspect, quote unquote, in that fight. I just think he fought the wrong fight against the bigger man than Heard. That's why he got stopped in that fight. But do you really think his chin is that suspect to where you can say?
I think it's more stamina. I say it's more stamina because when most time when he got stopped, it was like the late round, and I think when his stamina started to get bad, his defensive responsibility gets bad. He started dropping his hands, and when he gets caught, he don't recover as fast because he already tired. So I say it's more stamina issues than actual just when he get caught, he chinny. But I think because of his stamina, it makes him chinny because he don't have the energy to take a punch. So I would say it's more of a stamina. But Danny Garcia can't really take advantage of that because he don't have that kind of work rate to wear Tony Harrison out. Tony Harrison to be fighting on his own pace. he won't rush Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison will just take his time and just outbox him for 12 rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. I think he had the ability to win some of those swing rounds though, because like I said, I think there are. I don't know. I think people sleep on his defensive responsibility, man. Danny has great boxing skill. People think Danny don't know how to box because he throw a lot of looping shots, but no, they overlook his defense and even me, I overlooked his footwork because I haven't seen him move this way since he was at 140, in my opinion. When he fought Amir Khan, I think that Danny looked like that Danny. So maybe it is some truth of what he said. Maybe he was struggling to make 147, which I still think was bullshit. I think the competition was better. But
I tell you what, it'd be a good build up. The way Tony Harrison talk, and the way that Angel can talk, I would love to see it.
I will say this though. I prefer the Fandor fight for two reasons. I prefer Fandor because even though I know Fandor is like 6'6" and Danny Garcia probably on like 5'7", so the height advantage is gonna be stupid. I seen him hurt. I seen him drop, and I won't say Fandor is chin is nowhere near. I won't say his chin is suspect.
That's Lubin, man. That's Lubin.
Lubin a decent puncher. I get that.
I think Lubin like 5'11". I think. But you gotta look. You know what you're getting with Fandor. Like Fandor is gonna be just like Benavides. Fandor is gonna be there to be hit. So if I'm Danny Garcia, I'm thinking if I can get inside and wrap up the guy, because the guy's real thin. If I can get inside, work, and then hold him to keep him from working, I might can hurt him at some point. Kind of how he did Benavides. But if he go in there and fight, in my opinion, he loses to Lara. I know he think Lara is fool. I think he loses to Lara. I think Lara is southpaw and slick and he has crack. I think he loses bad to Harrison. I think he loses the worst to Harrison, like you said. I think Harrison's a nightmare because Harrison is going to box and move all night and not get into the slugfest. So if I'm PBC, man, I'm really, and now that Keith Thurman is not in the market for Errol Spence anymore, I think you say fuck the 147 or fuck the 154 division and try to fight Keith Thurman out of all of them, in my opinion. Because Keith Thurman needed an opponent. Danny Garcia coming off a win. So the best thing PBC can do to help both of them guys get a payday is have them two fight each other, in my opinion. It makes sense.
Because if fighting anybody else, in my opinion, don't make any type of sense. I don't think fighting Lara makes sense at this point. I don't think fighting any other guys makes sense, bro.
A quick question before we get out of here. Who was your favorite in that fight?
After watching this, Danny, man, I'm not trying to show recency bias, but I have to because Barrios had some success to the body against Keith Thurman, and Danny Garcia just threw 150 plus body shots on Benavides. So I think Danny Garcia would go for Keith Thurman body the whole entire fight, in my opinion. And I think at some point he's going to hurt Keith Thurman to the body, especially if it's the Keith Thurman we saw fight Barrios.
Yeah, I agree with you because if you watch that fight they had I think it was about 5 years ago now, maybe longer than that.
Yes.
Keith Thurman got out to a fast start, and then Garcia started to come back because to me he kind of figured Keith Thurman out because, like you said, he started sitting down on those body shots and he was just throwing them thumping body shots even when he wasn't catching them. Like Keith Thurman said, he was catching his arms and his shoulders, and that's why he said he got his arm messed up because he was trying to block a lot of those shots, but it took a toll on him. So I think that Danny Garcia figured something out that second half of the fight. He just came on too late. And it was a close fight, but most people slightly favor Keith Thurman. But I think he'll come out faster, than he did last time. So yeah, I think I would slightly favor Danny Garcia in that fight.
But don't sleep on Keith though. It's gonna be a good fight though. I think Keith also is a cerebral fighter. He also was smart in there. And being there one time with Keith, being there once before, I think he know Danny too. They know each other. So it'd be a good fight. But would you want to see that fight at 154 or would you want to see it at 147?
154. I think it's nothing left for either guy to do at 147 at this stage. Keith Thurman, if he want to wait around until the dust settle with Spence and Crawford, if they can make that fight. But the problem with that is, once the dust settle, you have to get in there with them young bucks. So it's almost better for him to move up to 154 and maybe catch the Danny Garcias or the Tony Harrisons and the guys more in your age group. You don't want to mess with these young bulls. That's why I told you about Fandor. At Danny Garcia age and his wear and tear, even though Fandor is probably a more winnable matchup than maybe Tony Harrison, at this stage of Danny Garcia career, I don't think he want to deal with that shit. That's a lot at that age to deal with somebody that's gonna be throwing all those punches, and you got to deal with all that shit. Them young boys got a different type of energy that you don't feel like dealing with. So even if Keith Thurman want to stay at 147, you got to fight Ortiz, you got to fight Bruce Ennis, and these guys that's gonna be trying to get these vacant belts. So I don't think he want to deal with it. So he might go to 154 and just get some, like I said, some names and try to get them nice paychecks.
I will say this too in closing. The reason why I think Fandor and him is a better fight because Fandor also don't fight long. He don't fight tall. He throw a lot of uppercuts in the pocket. That's why I think Danny can catch him looping shot, and kind of you might want to hurt him Fandor and have him rethinking that weight class. But that's why I said it. But you got anything else you want to add to this topic, man? On this Raw review?
I think we covered it all.
Well, what's the next fight? The next fight is Broner, ain't
it? Jake Paul.
They canceled that fight. That fight got canceled today.
Oh, I ain't know that. You telling me that break news for me?
Yeah, the fight got canceled. The story is that he can't make weight. That Hasim Rahman can't make weight because there was a week out today, and I guess he missed the week out weight. But then you got Hasim Rahman's team trying to put their own narrative out, trying to say that Jake Paul team came to them and tried to tell him to throw the fight, pretty much. And they turned it. Hasim Rahman turned it down, and that's why they try to make a big deal about the weight. Because they said Hasim Rahman could make the weight. You got an opinion on that? Which story do you lean more
towards? Boy, that's a tough one, man. Because I can see that happening where they wanted him to throw that fight, and then maybe Rahman team said, no, we're not gonna throw the fight, and maybe they got scared because much you hate Jake Paul, he is the money man. And I think Showtime and everybody love it, and they want him to keep winning because he is successful on pay-per-view, and he bringing in a lot of money to Showtime. But to me, like I said, if the man can make the weight, he can make the weight. Let's find out next week. Like I said, let the man weigh in. If the man say he can get to the weight, let's see if he can get to the weight. So it is kind of a little funny business going on right there that they will actually cancel the fight a week before, with all the money they put in the fight, all the promotion and all the stuff they could. That's a loss now. You don't get that money back. All the promotion and everything they put in that fight is gone. You can't get that money back. So at the very least, I would have said, okay, your weight not looking good, and we'll see what you get in next week. But let's go ahead and get you sometimes when they feel that, they'll have somebody like a backup fighter that they can throw in for the fight, whatever. And I would have found somebody that maybe could take a replacement if he couldn't make the weight. But to throw that much money away does raise some red flags that maybe Jake Paul team was a little worried about this fight.
I mean, the news still new, so we don't know if he's gonna find a replacement opponent still yet. Maybe sometime this week he may come up with a replacement opponent. But this is what I would, in close, this is what I want to see though. I would want to see Rahman come out and say something about it. I either want to see him step on the scale and show the world his scale and show exactly where his weight is at. If say the weight had to be 200. So if he step on the scale and the weight's like 210 or 213, so around there, I got a week to lose, 13 pounds. I'm like, that's doable. I got a week to lose 10 pounds. That's doable. So then I'll believe the whole, Jake Paul asking him to throw the fight thing. But if I see Rahman don't come out and say anything, then I'm gonna have to believe the weight issue, because he was making a big deal about coming down to 200 pounds. And he does walk around at least 240, 250. So coming down to 200 in that short amount of time, it made to some toll on his body, man. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why they pulled out the fight.
I'm mad that he dropped the bag though, because that was gonna be a nice payday for him, and that's a come up, and that he'll probably never receive again. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of sucked because he really dropped the bag on that one.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be honest. They're gonna have to. I think they're gonna fight. I think what's gonna want to happen is they're gonna remake the fight, but give him more time to cut the weight. Because this fight was, like I say, he's a late replacement himself. He was put in for the Fury dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So cut that much weight in that amount of time. I don't think he so much dropped the bags per much. I think he knew his limitations, because he knew. I mean, to be honest, man, I think Jake Paul knew that if he cut that, he had an advantage on him if he cut that much weight in that short of time. So that's why Jake Paul put that stipulation on him, and then put a rehydration clause on top of it. So I think it might be smart business for them to pull out the fight, after the bad blood, after the public want to fight now. The public them want to fight. They talked about the fight. They actually favoring Rockman to beat him. So the public want it. So I think it's actually smart business for Rockman team to pull out the fight now and then make a future fight. They give Rockman time to make the weight more comfortably. And I'm gonna be honest, man. Jake Paul don't want a comfortable Rockman in there. I'm being honest.
No, he don't. He don't.
You don't want a comfortable in there. But yeah, let's get out of here, man. This been our fight review, man. Damn. Yeah, this has been our Raw review. I'm sorry. This has been our Raw review here at CTB. Get him out of here, man.
All right, everybody, please hit the like button, subscribe, notification, comment. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing. But most of all, God, peace and love, and we out of here. Take care.